Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I am back for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery for our Field Notes project. And a few days ago it was the start of spring, so the 1st of September here in Australia, and I thought it would be lovely to create a little memento of Alpine Victoria where we are staying, and to just pop out into the garden and pick some blooms that were in the garden out at this time of year. So I got some lovely little violets or violas, some sweet little blue flowers, and this lovely feathery pinky one. And I decided to do some what they call flower pounding, or hapazome. I might not be saying that totally correctly, but it's a Japanese word for flower pounding, where you imprint flowers onto fabric. And that's what I've done on the fabric here. So you can see the viola, you can see this one, which is called Loro Petalum, and you can see the little blue flowers, which is called Veronica persica. So I started doing that, and that's all I thought I was going to do, working on this vintage tray mat, which was a slightly larger one. And then I decided I wanted to turn it into a page for my field notes. So I decided to create a little fold of the tray mat so that it would fit onto the size that I am working on for my field notes, which is this comic board size. Sorry, not comic book. It's what they use to, I think, mount their comic books on if they're keeping them in collections. But yeah, you can find it if you search on comic book board or comic book cardboard. It's acid free, so it's good to use with our stitcheries. So I did my little fold there. I also decided that I wanted to add my own colourful embroidery around the cutwork that was already on the piece. Some of the bits of the cutwork hadn't yet been taken out, so I proceeded to take those out and then to do stitching around them. I'm going to be showing you in the course of this video the different sort of techniques, and explaining a bit more about how I've done them. So I decided that I wanted to do that. I also decided that I wanted to embroider the word spring 2024, Alpine Victoria and bright. And then I decided to do a little trail linking them up, or what I thought represented the Ovens River, which runs through this whole region. So it's sort of got a more browny tone to it because it is running through rock and right down from the mountains. So I chose a browny colour for that. And then I decided I also wanted to do some little tags so that I would remember what the plants were. I know the viola, but the other one I didn't know the names of. And so I've done little tags here. In the video I hadn't yet done this piece, but I decided to add some to make it actually look like the flower that has these lovely feathery fringy bits. So I've actually stitched those on. I've stitched some of them down around the bottom so they sort of stay in place. Some of them are actually stitched onto the fabric right up to the top as well, but I've left some loose up the top so they have a bit of movement. And then I used just one vintage embroidery that has some staining on it. I used this little pot plant to get a little viola, which I added to this tag. As well as doing my flower pounding onto it, and again making use of this beautiful border here. So that one's there, and then these just tuck into the pockets, and I've just added some extra stitches to just make the pockets perfectly fit the tag. So I've just put some stitches in there and there, and then I've anchored it down to my back piece, which is a piece of a fabric sample from the Reverse art truck. It's like a knitted sample, and I've used that as my backing so that you can, through where the cutwork is, you can see that backing and get those lovely colours of those flowers. And I've also used some lace that I coloured up with my Derwent Inktense ink blocks to make the beautiful ferny greenery up there and there and there. And then I also use the Derwent Inktense blocks to make these little violas down here as well. So very versatile to be able to make my own coloured coloured laces, and I just think they evoke the lovely ferns, because that's what I also used in my piece of dried fern there. Hasn't been in the water like the other ones, but fern's good because it's not too juicy, so it just makes a nice imprint. Now over time these might the imprints might fade a bit, but that's why I've also put the little embroideries on, and this one I didn't have a sort of a matching embroidery, so I just did my own little hand embroidery just with regular sewing cotton. So I'll now pass back to my past self to take you through a bit more of the making, including how I've made the tags, how I do that embroidery there. So I'll throw back to myself, and then at the end of the video there's some lovely footage from the walk that Travers and I did yesterday along the river. So I'll show you a brief bit of the Hapazome technique first up, and then I'll show you how I have stitched into and added to the cut work on this vintage placemat that I've used as my piece, how I've created a little tuck pocket, and how I am then creating little index cards that can sit within the tuck pocket. So quite a bit to show you. I'll show you how I've also added some hand coloured embellishments. So these were to replicate the fern that I used printed into the design as well. Even though it's not a bloom, I thought it would be nice to have a bit of greenery. And how I've then also coloured up some little flowers to be similar to the violets or the viola. I've got this beautiful fabric. It's actually a European sized pillowcase, but I couldn't resist the beautiful designs on it. I think I originally got it maybe from IKEA. I was never planning to use it as a pillowcase. I've always been planning to use it as a fabric for something, and I thought what a perfect backdrop for this particular piece. So let me start off by showing you how the flower pounding works. And what I'm thinking of doing is doing it onto these little stitched labels that I have started making, similar to the viola, where I've actually flower pounded on the viola, and then I've stitched a little one that reminded me of a viola from a vintage piece of embroidery. So I've stitched in the name of the Laura petalum, I guess is how it's probably said, which is this beautiful pinky flower. And then I've also, on this same vintage doily, which has this lovely hand work, this is just so miniature and so beautiful around here, and then the beautiful blanket stitch. I'm planning on using this little bloom down here because it also reminds me of the flowers, because they sort of go from a quite bright pink through to a lighter pink as they go through their stages. So just as I cut out one of these little purple ones to use on this one, I'll be able to use this one. Haven't got something for my blue one to use yet, so I think I'll probably put a blue one on both sides, which is my Veronica Persica. So let's start with the pink one. So I'll put the print of it over on this side. So I'm just going to pick off a nice luscious bit of the pink one, which I've got here. And I might do it that way. Well, first of all, because I don't want to print through onto my pillowcase, I'm going to lay down this cut into, it's just the back of one of the pieces I got recently. Then I'm going to get my rolling pin, and I'm going to use just a bit of this fabric, which I'm using the edging for my tags. I'll just pop it, don't want that to go over where the writing is. So I'll just position my pinky bit first of all. I'll then put this bit like that. Again, make sure I'm not running over the top. And then I'm going to pound. So apologies if this makes the table. And so I can see where it's come out in the design just by where it's coming out on the back. And so therefore I can tell where I might need to still do a bit of flower pounding to get the petals to come out. So I'm pretty happy, I think, with that one. That's given me the colour scheme. I probably could have kept less petals, but I'm happy it's given me the pinky colour of that. And then on the other side I'll be cutting out the other little one. And then with this one, I need my little blue blooms. So I'll just use the bloom itself. It's often good to take the green bits off, particularly if they're really squishy, because they can make a sort of a more squishy mark, if that makes sense. So let me just, actually I might just pop it here. Just going to hold that in place. Oops. And these little blue ones printed really beautifully when I was printing those onto my fabric the other day, or pounding them onto my fabric. See, they're a lovely little print. You can see it sort of totally pounds down, and then you get a second lovely print on the back. So it's like a bonus print, and then I'll put one on the other side because I don't have an embroidery in this particular colour to use. Put one on this side. I'll take the greenery off. So yeah, you can experiment. I find with the leaves, you don't want them to be particularly a fleshy leaf. That's why the fern was quite good. Because if they're really fleshy, they tend to just be quite a non-distinct shape. So I'm happy with those two, and I've now got two lovely little prints on the fabric. Now these being natural prints, they will fade over time, but I did was it a year ago, onto silk, and they are still really vibrant in colour. It'll be interesting to see on the cotton whether I get a different sort of effect. So I'll come back and do similar on this one to add this little piece down here. I can show you how I would approach it. Hopefully you're not getting too many shadows. And actually I'll start by just showing you this little label. So what I've done is cut out a piece of card to go in the centre, because I do want them to have a bit of stiffness to them, so when they go into the fold on my piece that they will actually sit where they need to and not sort of flop around. And so I'm using the little corner piece, as I will use on these ones. And I've left myself with some extra when I've torn it, so I can fold it over itself at the back and then also fold the raw edge into itself like that. So making a little pocket. And then because the side doesn't have any of the edging on it, I'm using this other one, which I'm using as the back of my printing, which has this lovely little bit of embroidery that I'll use on something else. I'm using the edging from this piece to create a little insert there. So for my other pieces, what I've done then with this insert is I just cut it so that it was the same width across, and then just inserted it, folded it in, so it's actually sitting in here and will get enclosed when I finish the stitches along the top. So I've just anchored that in place there, and then I'm stitching all the way around with the card inside, and I'll stitch along the bottom as well and come back up here. But I'll do that off camera, but that's the method I'm using for the little name tags. And so for this little one, I'll harvest this little bit of embroidery. So I just have a look on the back to see where I'm best to cut. And I can always just do an extra little anchoring stitch once I put it in place. So because this doily had some staining, looks like, I don't know whether it got just some speckles on it or whether it got a little bit of mould at some point, I'm not sure. It's just got a little bit of staining on it. I'm happy to cut it up, happy to use it, but use the beautiful border pieces as well as the little embroidered. And this is the finest little stitching. I think they're bullion. Yeah, I think they are super fine little bullion knots, which is amazing. And so this one will go on this end, and I'll then fold my tag over. I can show you what I'm thinking. Let me show you that. So I've got my piece of card that I think will be approximately the right size, and so then I need to have that. Okay. So basically I am going to need to have that much by that plus an extra little margin to fold over. So I'll put a snip in there. Actually, I'll be best to snip right across this lovely little fine edging detail. And I can tear it. And then in terms of length of it, I want it to really come up to about, but let me turn it over around the other way. So I just need enough room to be able to put this little one in at this end, and then it can just come down about there, and I'll just cut it down there and tear that down. And so that will then be my lovely little label, and then I can, and that's Travers and Alex coming back from the walk. Alex had a lovely skiing day today, but we just went out before, and Travers has had his dinner, so Alex has just taken him for a little post dinner walk. We haven't had our dinner yet, it's still early. Travers does actually get 2 dinners, but best we not talk about that, lest we make the other doggies jealous. He's having a good old drink over there, is our Travers. And so yeah, I'll cut this little piece of the end edging like that. And then the way I would do it, let me just quickly see if I can see my Yoo-hoo glue. Pack everything away quickly. We had one of Alex's friends was coming over for a coffee. We ended up just sitting up at the bench anyway, so it probably didn't need to clear off the crafting table. No, I can't see where my Yoo-hoo glue has gone, but that's okay. So let's assume this, I will stick this down with a bit of Yoo-hoo glue and then put some tiny little stitches around it, like I have done around here. I don't know why Travers is trying to snuffle my jacket. Not quite sure. It's hanging on the chair and he's having a good old snuffle of it. So yeah, let's pretend that is stuck there. And then what I would do is put this little piece in here. I would then fold this up and over, and then we would do some running stitches around it. I'll probably end up trimming the cardboard down a smidgen anyway. But I'll have this lovely little lacy detail bit on the end. So that's the approach for the labels, and I'll be doing a similar thing with my my blue one, where I won't be adding embroidery. I've just done the two prints of it, and they will be my little tags that will sit in the piece. I'll probably have my viola down. Actually, I might put my viola here because it's a shorter one, and I might even put an extra stitch in just so it sits up a little bit up here. I'll probably put, and this one's now haven't stitched it together yet, but I'll keep that with it. This one could sit, actually this one will probably sit across the top because it's the biggest of them all, and then I'll have my other one, which will be about this size, sitting down here. So that's how the page will look, and you can then take the tags out, you can see what's underneath. If I really want to, I can also do stitching around all of the actual prints as well, but I decided instead just to do a lovely little set of stitching that reminded me of the river, the Ovens River that winds through Bright and Alpine Victoria, to just take the eye from spring 2024 down to Alpine Victoria and down to Bright down the bottom. I thought that would be nice. So I just drew myself on a little dotted line with my friction marker, which erases with heat, and that made it really easy to do the stitching. And then I added these pieces, which I painted with my Derwent Inktense blocks, which are here. So I just mixed up a colour that I thought resembled the fern, and also a colour that I thought resembled the little viola or little violets for these. I think that one was slightly darker, that's a slightly lighter one, but they do have different colours to them. And so, yeah, I've affixed those on because I just had some that were slightly more blurry sort of prints. You can see under that one, it's a bit more of a blurry print. So I thought it might be fun. And then it does have the added benefit of just creating the places where I can pop the little pieces in. I like that these have little bits of sequins on them because it reminds us that even this morning there was a frost here and it was snowing up on the mountain yesterday. So it does give that alpine sense. Now under here I've got a piece of the comic board card which I've covered with a fabric stitched sample from, knitted sample from the reverse art truck that I brought away with me. It's got these beautiful pinks and purples, so I thought it was the perfect colouring. And what I've done is just run stitches across the back and all around to hold it tight and firm on the card, but not so tight that it kind of gets overstretched or anything. And that's going to be the background that you see through my piece. So through these little cut works, which were in the original doily, they actually weren't fully cut out. There was some of them that hadn't been cut out, but I decided to go ahead and cut them all out because I did want to have that sort of peeking through effect. And then I've proceeded to do further reinforcing stitches in this beautiful coloured variegated yarn from Wonderfil. And then I used my just recently hand dyed with the Inktense blocks wool, the wool that I got for $1 from the op shop that I hand dyed with my Inktense, and I used that on this one up here. And I think I'm going to use this crochet yarn, which I had hand dyed a while ago now, for this little tulip here, and I'll show you how I do basically it's the sort of cut work overcasting stitch, and I have a particular thing that I do down the center. What I learnt with this one was I needed to reinforce the little bits because as I did the stitching, a couple of these pulled. That's why this has got a slightly wonky shape to it. This one's very neat because I first of all went ahead and laid down some stitches, which I'll show you how to do across the middle of this one. So that one went a lot more smoothly. And that's how we learn, as we do things. But I just really like the effect. It was one of those projects though where I just thought I was starting out and just doing some printing, and then it's evolved to everything including tags. But isn't that the way with slow stitching? It's almost like it constantly wants to give us an upgrade to a new activity. Now let me get this one out. For a moment I looked at this and I thought, oh, is this the cottage garden thread or is this one of the ones that I did myself? But I think it is. I'm actually certain it's one that I hand dyed myself, and they've just come out so well. And just great to be able to do your own colours, whether it's doing a variegated one like this or something else. So I'll just get myself a decent amount to start. Get myself a needle. Put a knot in the end of my needle. And so I'm hoping at the end of this to add some footage of Travers and I doing the river walk today, because I thought you might like to join me for that. Now, obviously not everyone will want to do that, so no offence if that's not your vibe, but some folks have said you'd love to see the more of the scenery around here, so I thought I'd bring you along on the walk and film it for you. So what I'm doing here is I pop through to the front and then through back to the back, and I'm just laying down a stitch along here, which will just give me something that will hold it secure even if this middle one kind of disintegrates. And I'm actually going to go back down the other way and just lay down a second stitch as well. Now you don't want to pull it too tight because you don't want to have it sitting sort of buckling the fabric. So that's in place now. I'll just pop my needle through here for a second through the window. And I think I'll put it in a little hoop if I have got my hoop. I'm sure I got my hoop. There we go. Let me pop it into the hoop because that will just help us, I think. Sometimes it is easier to do it out of the hoop, but I think it just helps with a bit of the tautness. And what we're going to do is we'll just work our way around, putting in little stitches that go over the top of the edging that has already been put in place, which is just a whole lot of stitches going over the edge. Normally when you do this technique, which I did in my A to Z of embroidery, following along with the book, the stitch along I did last year, yeah, it was last year, is you normally do a sort of running stitch around the outside that becomes, or a back stitch actually, I can't remember if it was a running or back, that's your base, but because it's already got the cutwork stitches in place, I'm just putting stitches over the top of them. So I'm just taking my needle in just slightly to the outside. But this is a great way you can kind of rejuvenate and make a vintage cutwork doily new again and add some really interesting colours to it if you want to, or you could just go over it with crochet thread or something if you wanted more neutral colours. Don't know if I should bring you down a smidge. Let me just do that and that, just to make it a bit easier for you to see. I know I can zoom in, but if I bring it down, then I can also see a bit better as well, without having to crane my neck. So it's great to be using my own dyed threads because I know this colour is unique to me. These were the commercial Wonderfill ones that I used for the flowers down there, but then I used my own wool over here. So we'll just work our way around. But yeah, stay tuned at the end of this if you'd like to see Travis's and my wander along the river this afternoon. Our early afternoon walk, and then we always get a later afternoon walk as well. We usually wait, if Alex has been skiing, we wait till he comes back and then we do a walk together. So it's Alex coming in again. I have to start cooking dinner soon, I think, and have some steak and some leftover roast veggies that I did yesterday. I will show you the middle section before I finish up. I won't necessarily do the whole other side, but there's a particular technique that I use for the middle that's a bit different to this side. So I'll just come around the corner. So always just kind of overlapping where the old cutwork stitches were. I do keep wanting to call it applique rather than cutwork. So at the corner, you just want to be covering those stitches. At least the wild weather has ceased in Victoria. It was very wild in Melbourne. Even some upper parts of buildings were blown over, and lots of people probably are still without power. We just lost the power here for 2 and a bit hours in the morning. It's quite funny. I'd actually gotten up and had just gone to the bathroom, and the light didn't turn on. And then in the time that I was in there, it came on, just in time for breakfast, which is good because it's all electric hot plates and things here. So would have been a cold breakfast. The things we take for granted with modern technology. Just finished going. I'll just go down the middle and show you how that works, and then I'll finish this video up. So what I do here is bring my needle up from underneath. I wrap my thread around, And then I put my stitch in. I think I still need to do one more actually here, because I just need, before I start doing that, let me just put one more here to cover the whitey bit. Let's do that. Okay, so again, let's start from the start. Bring the needle through, wrap the thread around, and then pull it through and pull it up. And just make sure you're always kind of pushing it back against the previous stitch. So again, bring my needle under, wrap the needle, and then I usually just use my finger to push it back against the previous stitch. And this is where those reinforcing stitches help, because it is under a bit of pressure when you're doing this, because you're kind of angling the needle, etc. So it does just create a bit of pressure on the piece. So having that reinforcing will definitely help you not end up with something that's a little bit more crooked like my first one. So I do like to share those little tips. So again, putting it under, wrapping the thread around, and then laying your stitch down, and you get this lovely little ridge along the top. So it actually ends up looking really neat and lovely. Oops, what did I do there? Getting all twisted, there we go. Wrap it around, and then bring it through and lay it down. And I can see a Travers hair has tried to secrete itself into my design. And then wrap it around, pull it through, lay it down. Oops. I'll just get to the bottom of this, and then that's probably enough of an idea. And then I will come back at the very end of the video, I think, and show you the finished piece once I've done my other tags. Almost done here. Just going to get to the bottom here, and then we are done. So once I'm at the bottom, I'll just pick up the sort of 2 stitches either side. And you can actually do this when you're finished as well, when you've gone around the other sides. And then I'll just pop a couple of little stitches in just to fill in this little end piece here. And then I'll let you have a look at it. So you can see it's got a lovely, neat little ridge. Let me stand up as well so I can see what you can see. Beautiful little ridge down there. So it just works out absolutely lovely. So I think that's going to look good, but yeah, stay tuned, and I'll come back for that, and then you'll get the Travers and my walk down the river as well. So here's the finished piece out in situ in the garden. I'm going to show you the flowers in their natural locations that inspired this piece and which were pounded onto the piece. So I've got my little labels sticking in the little side barrier, and yeah, the piece is all finished. So I'll just try and hold the camera. I'm free filming out in the garden. So that's the Laura petalum. I've got the viola. And we've got the Veronica persica, which I did some stitching into in the end on the right hand side. So even if it fades, I'll still have a record of what the flower looked like. So that's my piece. And then let's head around and I will show you first up the Veronica persica, if I don't get in the shadow. So there you can see that. Very sweet little bloom. And then we'll continue our way around the garden to some daffodils. And some more beautiful daffodils, even though I didn't put them in my piece. They tend to be a bit more squishy, so they don't flower print as well. And then round past the beautiful camellia. Isn't that lovely? Look at that bloom. Just gorgeous. And then we've got the fern that I use for printing into it. And this lovely fringy flower, the Laura petalum. So yeah, I'm very happy that I did my fringy version of that on here. I think that's worked very well. And you can see that it goes through different colours as it, like over on this one that's a bit older, you can see it goes from the lighter pink through to the darker pink. And then we'll come down the little path past some more camellia bushes. We've got our little barrier so that Travers can be out in the backyard without going out the front driveway, although he never really does. And then we get over, stepping over the barrier and not tripping, hopefully, Christine. And we've got our beautiful little wild violets, or violas, growing in the garden. And they are very, very sweet. So I've got my little viola tag. So I think that works very well. There's a little memory of this beautiful place and the beautiful gardens and blossoms and camellia and everything else. So thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for the footage along the river. Hello everyone, it is Christine here with the lovely Travers, and we are out for our afternoon walk. So we'll be going up just into the start of the canyon walk and crossing a bridge together. Actually, there's a little bridge coming up here, but there's a bigger swing bridge that we'll cross over. You can see the cows in the paddock over there. Travers sends his regards to all his many followers. He seems a very popular part of the channel. Sends out tail wags and nose boops, don't you, Trav? He's being a bit dawdly today. I think he's like, we went on this walk this morning in the opposite direction. He sometimes likes to go on totally new walks. We'll go find somewhere new this afternoon, Travis. Just stopping for a sniff of the fence post. These are beautiful big gum trees. The first little bridge that we'll be crossing. The river diverts around, so this is just a little stream here. So I'll be walking along the sides of the river. Can you see the little willy wagtail? They're so quick. You might be able to just see it in the shrub over there. Sweet, sweet little birds with lovely little tails. And we're coming up to the first of the swing bridges that cross the river, so we'll go across this and then we'll walk back the other side of the river that heads back into town. It's a lovely walk here. You do need good footwear for a bit further up, and we will just be doing the easy section of it, but there's some rocky bits further up. Remember to stop and show you moss and lichen and fungi if I see it along the way, and nice flowers. Come on, Travis, get a biggie on the other side. He does this protesting thing where he demands a biscuit. So just got to keep a good hold on my phone across here. I don't want to drop you into the river and never see you again. I'll stop over here and give you a look down the river as well. Travers. It's like, Mum, why are we stopping on the bridge? It does get quite a swing on it. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Beautiful wattles in bloom. Now Travis is waiting for his little snack, so he often wants to go his own way. I like to think I'm strong-willed, but I think Travers is even stronger-willed than I am. So there's some beautiful mossy and licheny rocks over here, so let's take a little closer look at them. For those of us that like to capture nature's textures in our work. Beautiful lichens. You hot, Travers? It's not even that hot. Nice little sort of shallow area down there where Travers went for a swim yesterday, but we'll go a bit section here. Kids in summer go down the river on blown up car inner tubes, tyre inner tubes. I imagine it'd be quite bumpy over those rapids. Probably less water, less of a flow. So I think the parents, drop them off at one end and then pick them up at the other. You're doing a dilly-dilly, Travers? Do you want to say hello to your fans? You want to say hello to your fans? You want to have a swim, Trav? Yeah, get in over there. It's nice and easy to get in there. Over here, Travers. You can get in the water over there. Come down here. It's probably easy to get in over here. There you go, Travers. There's a nice easy spot to get in. Yeah. So maybe I'm just going to have a drinking stop, mummy. Maybe I'm not going to have a swimmy one. Enough of a swim? Enough of a dip? Enough of a dip? You're going to do a shake? Going to do a shake? Not a mummy though. Yeah, good boy. Good boy. Okay, we'll get you a bicky. And then I'm sure we might get to capture you doing one of your famous rolls, blah, up on the grass up here. Might even do mad galloping around. So these big. Hey, you little ducky friends. Beautiful trees, I think. Are these poplars? I think they might be. Very tall. And there's some, I think these are little grape hyacinths over here. And I'll also show you these little wildflowers as well, if you can see those little ones with Travers coming into shot. And then, yeah, the little grape hyacinth blooms. Oh, yeah, there now you're going to get to see Travers in all his rolly glory. He does this whenever he has a swim. Sometimes just does it after he's been in the park too. This is just pure joy for Travers. He has to scratch grass up and twigs up onto his stomach to have the full experience. Okay, we'll go back to looking at the grape hyacinths, Travers. Have you got that naughty look in your eyes, Baba? Oh yeah, poplars, there we go. Farrington poplars, 1960. Wow. Oh, you can see a pink galah over, I think there's a few of them actually down in the leaves down there. I'll just see if I can zoom in on them a bit so you can see them a bit better. So can you see them just down there? I'll zoom out a bit again. They're eating the little nuts by the looks of it. Oh, there they go, flying away. And beautiful daffodils planted all the way along here under the poplars. Beautiful, happy little daffodils. massive storms the other night, so it's blown down lots of tree branches, but look at the beautiful lichens and mosses on this. Just the colours, that bright yellow is amazing. Stream that enters the river. Some ducks over on the grass there. You can see the hills that surround. It's just such a pretty place here. It's one of the few places in Victoria where you've got mountains or hills on all sides. Got the snow-capped peaks further around the valley. Got the beautiful river. It's a very special place. And they've done really well with all the different walks along all the different sections of the river. Having the bridges really helps. So you can see different sorts of wattle here, the smaller ones, and then these are a bigger, paler one. It's hard to sometimes get the camera to focus properly. And the blossom tree out over there. The road's just up from where we are, so you might have been able to hear that truck. Or ute, actually. A ute. What do you call them? Oh, you call them pickup trucks, I think, over in the US. Here in Australia, they're called utes. And here's the white blossoms mingling with the wattle blooms. And there's a pale pink blossom tree down by the water while we have a little pause for Travers to have his sniff. I think you've had enough of a sniff now, Travers. Sometimes I think he could sniff for hours, a bit like I suppose we can stitch for hours. And then the place we stay is just about 2 minutes, just across the road and then up a little street and across the rail trail. There's the glittering water that I just adore. See if Travers wants to go for a paddle. Apparently he does. We swear this dog doesn't get cold. Doesn't stop me wrapping him up in a nice blanket at night, but usually he picks it off at some point. Did you have a nice little paddle, Travers? I'm almost up. Hey, Bubba. Travers, you happy? You had some swims and some plays with the dog, haven't you? Kookaburra over there, hopping around the grass. There's another one coming. Oh, there's one on the fence over there already. And as we come up here, you might be able to see another one sitting on the fence over there as well. Don't know if they'll do their characteristic laugh. The beautiful birds. They will come and steal meat off a barbecue. They love meat. They can catch things like lizards or snakes. Oh, there's another one up on the fence up here. There's an absolute bounty of kookaburras. It's like they're watching over the neighbourhood, just like the owls would in Harry Potter. And on the corner straight ahead, that's where we are staying. Might walk you in and show you the beautiful camellia bushes as well. You see the beautiful blossom trees in the street. So here's where we're staying. This is a beautiful garden filled with camellia bushes, a little rail trail on the other side, a former railway tracks that's now just a cycling and walking path. More beautiful camellias. You can see the little violets growing wild in the garden, which I've used on my Hapazome flower pounded piece. And then this is a really lovely camellia. It's really beautiful. And then there's a few more down there. I won't go. We've got a little barrier for Travers. You can see I've got my little picnic blanket out on the deck, and there's some nice chairs so Travers can lay down on the deck.